So this morning, Tesla's China Vice President Grace Tao was interviewed, and boy, did she share some very important details about Tesla's Giga Shanghai. Two of the big ones. First, the efficiency of Giga Shanghai is now such that a car can come off its production line in just 30 seconds. Second, the welding workshop is now close to 100% automated. So today, let's learn more about Tesla's progress in China, particularly this new initiative by the Chinese government. They're now wanting humanoid bots. It's going to be a big project for them, and they're going to work really hard to make that happen. So today we have Hans Nelson joining us. Hans has his own YouTube channel called Hans C. Nelson, and he's a mechanical engineer, and he's a regular for the channel. Thanks, Hans.
Thanks for having me, Herbert.
So this is big breaking news, and so we need to get this out right away. This is Grace Tao, and she's the Vice President of External Affairs for Tesla, and she's the one that she was dancing with Elon when it was Giga Shanghai was first launched. And so she was interviewed this morning, and Tesla Chan kind of revealed some of the summary of what she talked about. So the first point was that the upgraded Model 3, this Model 3 Highland, they wanted to make a point and point out that the R&D center in China was responsible for those improvements. And you can see this top line here that the ventilation sheets, the interior materials, the quietness, the ambient light were developed by Shanghai's R&D Innovation Center. They do repeat that comment quite a bit. They think that it's important for everybody to know that it's actually Shanghai's R&D that's doing it rather than Fremont or Texas. What do you think, Hans?
Yeah, I think that that's important on just two different fronts. One of them is that they want to show the team there that's doing good work, that you are recognized for the good work that you're doing. And also, I think just for public relations in China, to show the Chinese people and the Chinese market that we value the contribution that you bring to the design and the manufacturing of this vehicle. I think that's, a win kind of all the way around, both internally and externally. And then, as far as the way that it works internally inside of Tesla internationally, I think it's good to give the design centers and the engineering and manufacturing personnel in other geographies that they know that if you do something good, that you'll be recognized locally for the work that you do, and also to kind of put them in a little bit of friendly competition with each other to continue to push forward and make great progress.
Okay. Yeah. The next item here, number 3, and something else that they continue to repeat quite often is that the data center in China is able to do localization of data storage. All in-vehicle generated data is kept in China. I don't know why it says sold in. Data sold in China will be stored in China. I think that's a weird word because that's exactly what they're trying to prevent. Not that that's the case. So this is critical. People need to understand that none of the information is going to leave China. So that gives the Chinese government some assurances. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward that just like Americans don't really, even though, we tend to use TikTok like we don't care, it's important, especially in sensitive areas, for Americans not to share sensitive data with foreign governments. And China has the same concerns for their local populace and people that are working on important and sensitive things. And so, yeah, that's something that it's reasonable for any sovereign nation to have rules and regulations and concerns around data privacy and data security. And so I think that that's just, hey, signaling we are going to be in full compliance and we want to work proactively with the government in whichever local jurisdiction that we're in order to allay any concerns that they have about data, which is, data is the new oil. It's incredibly important. And it's something that everyone has to think critically about how they're going to handle it.
Okay. And Tesla being in China is so critical. Now, the next 4 points are massive, massive, important information. And we're going to talk about automation in China as well as humanoid robots in China. And everything we're going to show to you, we're going to show you another video of how a Model Y is actually built. Everything is actually being set up for humanoid bots. And this is what's happening in China right now. So this is critical. So first of all, Grace Tao also said these next 4 points, which I think is very important. Number 1, a car can now come off the production line in 30 seconds. So that's how fast that they're able to shave off. And just literally 6 months ago, they were saying 40 seconds, and now it's 30 seconds. They really, really improved that. And then one example is the automation in the welding workshop is now close to 100%. The gigacasting, it reduces the manufacturing time from 1 to 2 hours to now just 3 to 5 minutes. This is ridiculous. They've really, really, really just improved that process. And then the other big news, and we'll talk about it separately, is the Shanghai Megapack factory is going to cover global market, not just Shanghai. So let's break that down first. Let's tell me about the efficiencies achieved.
Yeah, so I think the fourth point there, that they're able to bring a car off the line every 30 seconds, is huge, because industry standard right now is 60-second cycle times. That means that there will be 2 Teslas coming off the line for every one automotive manufacturing, legacy manufacturer, as far as time is concerned. So that means, the same plant in a day, if it was a Tesla plant, would produce double the amount of cars that a legacy OEM plant would produce. And if you can produce double the amount of cars out of it's a fixed location. You've got the same building, you've got the same equipment, you've got the same number of employees. By reducing that, and so if they were at 40 seconds 6 months ago, and now they're at 30 seconds, that is let's see, that's a 25% reduction in OpEx per vehicle. And that can translate to significant improvements in auto gross margins just internally within Tesla. And then if you compare that to other competitors, it's huge advantage. And so yeah, if you can produce more cars with less capital investment and less operational expenses, then you are at a huge competitive advantage compared to your other competitors. And that's just something that we've seen kind of play out, that there are companies like BYD that are doing relatively well at the bottom end of the market in selling large numbers of cheap vehicles. But one of the things about those companies is they employ massive numbers of employees, and they have very large fixed cost base. They have to sell large numbers of vehicles just to cover those costs. That's one of the reasons why they're not profitable. And so what we're seeing here is Tesla continuing to drive down the cost of manufacturing, so that when they arrive at being able to sell those entry level vehicles at those low price points, that they'll be able to do it at a margin structure that is just dramatically better than any of the competitors, including the Chinese like BYD.
Yeah, I want to get to the next bit of news, which I think is critical, but maybe let's discuss quickly the Megapack factory. So she announced that the Megapack factory they're building in Shanghai is going to be for global distribution, not just for China. So that sounds like to me that they're going to build something pretty big, mass production. What your interpretation of that?
It makes 100% sense, just because that's where, like, China is the global manufacturing hub for LFP batteries, and LFP batteries are going to be the heart and soul of the Tesla energy business for quite a while. It's going to be a while before sodium ion potentially plays a large significant role there. And even when it does, it's likely that that sodium ion technology will also be largely produced in China. So it's going to be one of the largest producers of LFP batteries at the lowest cost. And so it makes sense to manufacture those there. And then they're made to be easily transportable. And so you make them there in China, ship them globally. They'll be able to put out way more megapacks from that factory, I guarantee you, than Lathrop is able to put out
Wow.
currently. And there's going to, yeah, I mean, the Lathrop facility will probably serve primarily North American customers. And then Giga Shanghai will be able to serve pretty much the whole rest of the globe.
Okay, very, very exciting. So this next bit of news I think is very important, but you can tell me it sounds important. This is the government of China talking about humanoid robots. So this Tesla Bot Journal kind of shared this information this morning that the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, they issued a 9-page guideline. China's call to action for rapid development of humanoid robots. They want to encourage rapid development of human robots, and so humanoid robots are the new engine of growth. And so China's government's going to push for mass production by 2025 and world leadership by 2027. This is just very, very aggressive and just a statement being made that we recognize this is so critical. We're going to put everything they can into this. And so this is the 3 points, the 4 points that they made in that document. Number one, establish a humanoid robot innovation system, make breakthroughs in key technologies, and ensure supply of core components by 2025. So it sounds like to me that they're going to kind of like have a centralized, research and development and share that amongst multiple companies probably. Humanoid robots should become an important new engine of economic growth by 2027. Humanoid robots in the manufacturing sector is a priority, and then directed the industry to focus on the brain, cerebellum, and limbs of humanoid robots, led by breakthroughs in AI. So clearly, they realize that this could disrupt, them being the manufacturing hub for the world. If Tesla makes humanoid robots ahead of them in mass market, then that could be an issue. This is exciting. What do you think about this?
I think that it signals, while we have lots of analysts here in the United States who say Tesla's just a car company, you don't see the world's second leading economy take notice of Elon's leadership in the development of humanoid robotics and make a pivot to go all in towards this technology, because Elon is out in outer space, completely detached from reality, doesn't have any idea what's going on, and has no idea where technology is going. They are pivoting because they see that what Elon is doing, the progress that has been made with Optimus, the progress that's being made with FSD is real, and that is going to massively shape the entire economy in the future. And they want to be a player in that. And then there's a second factor that really plays in for China. They are facing an incredible demographic collapse based on the one child policy that was in place for so long. They still do not have even close to replacement rate birth rate in China. And so they're going to be facing a massive shortfall in labor that's able to come into manufacturing jobs in the not too distant future. And so they recognize that not only is this going to be something that is a huge factor in how the economy evolves over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but that they're also facing internal pressures that are going to exacerbate those problems. And so they need a technological fix for that. And so that's why they're going all in on this right now.
Okay. And then to, nicely back, add on to that storyline, I'm going to play 2 video clips. The first one is Ross Gerber, who's director of Gerber Kawasaki investment firm. And he's talking about, meanwhile in the US, we are dealing with unions, and the big legacy auto just signed deals with the union. So that's great. But, Ross rightly says that while the US is working with unions, everybody's moving towards bots. And then the second video, which I'm really excited to show, is an actual breakdown of how the Tesla Model Y is built. And then we can actually see that many of the processes that Tesla's already done is in preparation. You can see how a humanoid robot can do it. Of course, today just improves the process. You can actually see how they actually are making it so simple to to create the car, just putting components in. We'll watch that. So let's watch Ross Gerber talking about bots possibly replacing union workers.
UAW, they got a massive win. Sean Fain, UAW president, he wants to unionize Tesla.
Well, I think that goal might create even quicker drive by Elon to build auto building robots. And that's what, Tesla's building right now, are robots that can build cars. So I think if the UAW really pushes hard enough against Elon, he might be really motivated to make robots to replace these jobs. So I don't think that that's a reality for Tesla. Tesla's a technology company, and I think they treat their workers pretty well, and people prefer to have a free market in California with stock options and the upside. Many Tesla employees are very, very wealthy because they've been with the company for over 5 years.
So the video that you and I will do that we'll publish tomorrow talks about how they've increased the salary for Giga Berlin. They're obviously going to try to, make sure that it doesn't become unionized. But I don't think that, efforts by union trying to get to Tesla is going to increase his motivation to build bots. They're going to build bots regardless. What's your reaction?
Yeah, I feel like it does highlight that there is a general pressure that's felt by the overall industry to move more towards automation, getting more productivity per labor hour of human effort, and relying less on, frankly, extractive union employees. So while it's just a tough place to be in, we continue to have to grow the economy, and the best way to do that is with more automated labor and less human labor. And so Tesla's on the forefront of that. And yeah, like you said, this is something that Elon was going to do anyways. I think they're moving on it full speed ahead, regardless of what happens with the union. And Tesla has the ability, just like Ross said at the end there, that the way that they pay and compensate their employees and using stock, that as long as the employees believe that the stock price of Tesla is going to be significantly greater into the future, which that's one of the things that they have going for them, is they have highly motivated, highly bought in employees that believe in the mission of the company. And so if they believe that they can succeed in the mission that they're going to do, I think they can also believe that the stock price will reflect success in that mission. And they just don't have the incentive to try and get a little extra hourly pay, but then give up on potentially hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars worth of gains in the price of their stock options.
Okay, perfect. So I'm excited to show this next video clip. This is from Autoline, and they showed how Model Y is currently built today. And you can see that it can show you how come Tesla is able to build these Model Ys so quickly, because it's modular. They made it as easy as possible for a human to be able to plug and play and so forth. And then they also, it's potentially set up for humanoid robots. So let's watch this video clip here.
Lee Han is with business development at Caresoft, and he's going to show us the modularity that Tesla is using on the Model S. And Han, you can take it from here.
Yes, okay. Hello, everybody. So here we are in front of the Tesla Model Y. This is the Austin version. You can notice the gigacasting here. So it's only one big piece of gigacasting. Is a U-shaped. So the operator can go inside, start assembly the vehicle from the inside and go toward the exterior. And then you will see we will close the car at the end. So here we have already one nice part. So it's the coal, but it's also the water box. So there is two parts in one. So they eliminated complexity with one part less on the vehicle. Okay, so here we have the cooling beam. Can I help you? Yes. We have the cooling beam. So the cooling beam is a beam with all the elements, components for the cooling system, except the radiator. So you have the accumulator, condenser, compressor, octavalve here. So this is a complete cooling system, and is compressed in all this beam. This beam is common on the different models of Tesla, so they use exactly the same beam with a small modification from one version to another. And every modification that you do, for example, on the accumulator, will be automatically transmitted to the rest of the models. Okay?
And one thing that you pointed out is all the bolts go in from the top down.
All the bolts here in this area from the top down are vertical, so it's easy for the operator to put the bolts.
And do you think that this could be done by robots in the future?
Maybe, yes. So here we can have Poka-yoke for the AC connections. So you cannot reverse the part, so it's always in the correct position. And for 5 pipes, you only have 2 fasteners.
Sure thing. Poka-yoke means it's designed to only go in one way.
Yes,
so
exactly. So the operator, even if it's the first day of job, they cannot mix it up. Okay? So then we have the air filter here. So the filter is 2 parts, but again, you no need fastener to put these 2 parts.
They just snap together.
You just snap together. And if you notice, this part will lay on the cooling beam, so it will never fall down. Okay? So the next part.
All right. Now you can just, that's an amazing video, right? But no fasteners needed. You just plug and play it. Sometimes they have the bolts needed, but they go from top down. You can see that there's so much room for the worker to walk in. They've really thought about that. They've reduced all the parts. This is no wonder why they're so efficient. And then the announcer, also the host, said, can this be done by robots? Maybe, he said, but of course it can. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely do a deep dive on this video and spend quite a while just talking through the complexity of how you arrive at a situation like that. Because just from a high level, most companies, the standard operating procedure is that you have design manufacturing and they live in one building and it's somewhere close to engineer or the corporate headquarters. They have engineering HQ. And so there's a group of people and they design the product. And they are nowhere close to the people that actually create the project. And so then there's a whole nother group of people that are the manufacturing engineers. And they figure out, okay, here's the thing that the design engineers created. They just tossed it over the wall to me. Now I have to figure out how to make this stupid thing because they have no idea how stuff gets made. And they're just like, here you go. And so then that's a very challenging process. And then they have to work with the people that actually make it. And so usually what happens is that the people on the manufacturing line are constantly doing things that don't make sense from their perspective because the person that made the decisions that dictated how they're going to work had no idea how they actually work. And so they're having to do things upside down or sideways or laying down and putting things in from all sorts of different directions or trying to attach parts where they don't have any area to actually reach the parts and all kinds of crazy things. And that's normal. That's status quo for how most things are made. Very few companies actually have a tight integration of the manufacturing process with the people doing the design engineering. Boeing was an early leader. Lockheed Martin, this was something that Skunk Works actually did very well, that the manufacturing people and the engineers worked directly together on the same line at all times. And so this is something that has been done in the past, but is more the exception than the rule. And this is something that Tesla excels at, that the engineers actually have to work on the line where the things are being produced. And they are working with the people doing the assembly so that they understand the challenges. And so when you do that well for a long time and you make iterative improvements on how things are done, you get to a point where that is such an easy ergonomic process for a human to do and repeat over and over and over again. And then if it's easy for a human to do and repeat over and over again, it will also be easy to automate. And so it is an example of Elon's algorithm where they're trying to delete parts as much as necessary or as much as possible, trying to simplify. They're trying to combine functions as much as possible. And then at the end, what you have is a very elegant process. And I guarantee you that a lot of GM, Ford, manufacturing line workers, when they look at that video, they think, gosh, I wish my job was that easy.
Oh boy. Okay, those are great points, Hans. You can see directly that this is designed for manufacturing. That's perfect examples for us to actually understand what they mean when they design for manufacturing. Boy, this video, Hans.
The factory is the product, and that is like the example of what it means for the factory to be the product. That it's easy, fast, simple. I mean, this is how you put out a car every 30 seconds instead of a car every 60 seconds, is because you have rigorously just eliminated extra complexity and time all throughout the process.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com. And this is why they're already, because you simplify it, it sets it up for human and robots. So we had Grace Tao make some massive announcements of how efficient Giga Shanghai is already. Now they're building the megapack factories, megapacks as well. And now the Chinese government is making a push from humanoid robots, and Tesla is well set up to add bots to the equation. So thank you, Hans. Follow Hans on his YouTube channel, Hans C. Nelson, on X as well. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.